Hello and welcome to the podcast. My name is Baen.
My name is Henry, and today we're going to be asking the question, what do people misunderstand about you most? So I'll start by asking Baen this. What do people misunderstand about you most, Baen?
Well, I think for me, I used to be very, not secure about myself, I guess, or less out there and outgoing. So I feel like that cockiness, well, I guess it's not, I don't know if they misunderstand about me the most, but the thing that I am afraid of them misunderstanding, I guess, is me being cocky, because it's not real cockiness, if you know what I mean.
Are you saying that because when you, let's say, for example, you have confidence from alcohol, do you think that people could misunderstand your confidence as cockiness simply because you're not like that usually?
Well, no, maybe, but I what I'm referring to more is sometimes I'll make jokes about being very cocky when in reality I'm not that cocky, and I'm just afraid people misunderstand that as not being a joke. Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by that, actually.
I don't do it around you guys, actually. Around you and Aiden that much. I really don't do it around. I do it around more like Mimi and Ashley.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you? What's an example of one?
I don't know. I can't think of a specific example off the top of my head, but just little remarks.
Oh, wait. I think I know what you're talking about. It's when you say yeah, I'm simply the best, you know?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's a little thing that's clearly a joke, but also very cocky if you're not getting it.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
One of them is oh, Byron, how did you do that? How did you do that thing? Oh, I'm simply the best.
Yeah, I'm just the best, man. I'm just the best. You know?
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
so,
like that.
Okay,
yeah.
I know what you mean by that. So you would be afraid that they would take that seriously.
Yeah. Because if you take that seriously, then you're just kind of oh, this guy's just a dick, He's just full of himself.
And
when really it's not like that at all.
Avoid.
Yeah, no, I don't want to, I'm not trying to be a cocky guy. Confident guy, maybe, not cocky.
Yeah. That's also when you talk about being afraid of being misunderstood, actually is something I can relate to. Because I definitely was afraid of being known as the mean person, including my sister. I used to make them, I used to be really nasty because I thought it was funny. And over time, I saw how I hurt people like that. And I was really afraid after that point of being known as the mean one or being known as the annoying one. Last time we were talking about sitting with the American group of people, being the loudest in the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
One of my fears is being associated with that. being associated with the annoying people was actually a fear of mine, and also was the fear of being associated with the people that tease everybody,
Yeah, I was afraid of. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, continue.
No, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As I became more confident, I was afraid of losing my kindness. I don't know if you had that too, but I felt like I could have been nicer before than I am now, even though I don't think I actually am, but it almost feels like that, because sometimes I'll make it a joke and maybe it could offend someone, it definitely could offend someone, but it's also a funny joke, with the group that I'm with, it would be a funny joke, but I'm
simply the best,
Yeah. Well, not like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand why you'd be afraid of losing your kindness, because I started out that way, as being the really confident person that sometimes wasn't kind. And I was afraid of, if it felt to me like when I entered that mode of being super confident, I also lost my sensitivity of the impact of my words. So it was a dilemma where I could only have one or the other. I could only be kind or I could only be confident, but not both. And being able to learn how to be confident and kind at the same time. It took me a long time, I think.
It's definitely a fine line. Like, I think there's some jokes, but there's a type of humor where you kind of like shit on each other almost a little bit, you know? And that can feel mean if you don't do it right. Or if you don't usually do it. Like, if coming from me, I didn't usually do that kind of like jokes before, where you kind of just like shit on each other. And it almost felt like I was being mean, even though it was, you know, it's a joke.
Yeah, that's right. I never liked that kind of humor either. It felt to me as, well, yeah, I just didn't prefer it, but also there needs to be a very strong understanding that you all love each other.
Yeah.
Under the surface. If that's not there, then those jokes can...
Then it is mean. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something also I felt in high school. Being with our group of friends, actually. I felt like sometimes it was just, I lost that sense that we all really cared about each other. And then I started taking things personally. But that was just, that was me, like a personal issue that I had. I'm not sure how you guys felt about that.
I mean, I didn't ever feel like anything was personal. I took everything as being a joke in our friend group anyways. Because I know, or at least I think I know, that we're all, you know, we all love each other, you know? Yeah.
And I think we do. Not I think that we love each other. I know we love each other. Yeah. But I think we all understand that now. Yeah. Whereas for me, during high school, I sort of felt this uneasiness because I was caught up in a lot of different things. It was hard for me to see clearly. But now I feel, yes, I'm grounded again. That we all care about each other, and it's not like one joke is going to be on purpose, like deliberately mean. It's like done in good spirit. I can see that now, which I think has been a period of growth for me to recognize that.
And I don't think any of us ever make jokes about each other intending to be mean either, you know?
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. Because I think we're all very kind people, us four. Yeah. We're all quote unquote nice guys, but not with the negative connotation that has. Yeah. We're genuinely nice. We genuinely care. I think it's difficult for us to be mean, actually. Honestly. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, I can't...
Going back to...
I can't really see anyone being mean in our group.
Yeah. Yeah, especially now. Especially all the experience that we had. Like, it's just not appealing at all. Yeah. So going back to the question, what did people misunderstand about you most? If you were to ask that to me, I would probably say...
yeah. What's your side?
I would say... Oh, thanks for asking. I would say...
Yeah, anytime.
A lot of people have described me as calm and mysterious.
Yeah, I agree.
Mysterious, not as much. Calm more often. I'll address mysterious first. Mysterious, I think people saw me as in high school, especially because I was never inclined to grow my roots anywhere. I was always free floating. I was always walking around, but I also didn't give my opinions a lot. I no longer was super outspoken about things. In freshman year, I loved to sit at one table. You probably remember with the Mormon kids. I would sit there, and there was Faith and Hannah and Steven, and I would love to just argue with them. I'd be like, guys, what if I were to say that God is not real? And I would just wait for them to be like, well, you know, see, da-da-da-da-da. They were very nice. But I was just there because I wanted to argue. I wanted to feel right. I wanted to state my opinion. And then I realized nobody wants to hear that. Nobody's interested in your very strong opinion about something that you only have a strong opinion about so that you can argue with people. Yeah. it's perfectly fine to be passionate, but I was having opinions simply for the sake of entertaining myself by proving that I was better than people logically. I was more intelligent than them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's
after
also
that phase, yeah.
Oh yeah, you continue first. I'll make my comment in a sec.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I realized that I was just being a dick. I was being this annoying person, and actually that was the opposite of what I really wanted to be. The opposite of who I really was.
Mm-hmm.
I was really a person who was caring and wanted to uplift others, and I didn't feel adequate about myself at the time. So it was sort of a reaction in order to feel like, oh yeah, I am as intelligent as I think I am, right? But after that period went over, I just withdrew into myself. And from that point on until the end of high school, I was very quiet. I was very closed about my opinions and about my internal state, because I was telling myself that nobody really cared what I had to say. Nobody wanted to hear what I had to say, because I saw the effect I had being annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And after telling that to myself, I was very elusive from conversations, from people. It was hard for me to be genuine about anything, because I felt like everybody would judge me if I really was who I thought I was, because I had this facade of being cool, being mysterious. I told myself that was who I was. So to break that, people would be surprised. They would be like, wait, what's happening here? And I didn't want that awkwardness to be there. So I just kept up that frame, you know, for
Mm-hmm.
being mysterious and being cool and stuff.
I think that when you said that in like freshman year or something, when you wanted to like have, or you'd have like you take the opposite side or play devil's advocate just so you could debate about stuff. I think that's also like ties into just like wanting to be heard or something, you know, or wanting to speak your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think it's really, like you were saying, like that's not really the kind of person you want to be, to, you know, like shut down someone else's thinking or you know, maybe make them feel a little bit bad about themselves, something like that. You just wanted to, you know, talk, you know, which, I mean, yeah, that makes sense, right? If you know, keep everything in, then every once in a while you're going to want to let some stuff out.
Yeah. And an interesting happens when you feel like you want to be heard, is that you can talk to 100 people, but if those 100 people don't actually let you know that you're heard, you can talk forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the key is that one person needs to see you for who you really are,
mm-hmm.
and accept and let you know that I understand where you're coming from. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think what you're saying is so valuable. All it takes is one person to say that to you. After that, you shut up. Right.
All right. Listen, I know what you're talking about. I really agree with you. Now shut the fuck up.
No, but when I say shut up, I mean you're satisfied.
Yeah, I know.
Like you're yeah, but that'd be funny if. Yeah. So Byron, I completely understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I completely, you know, I appreciate what you're saying.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so that happened. And then I think for the calm part of me, people say I'm calm. I think this is true initially because I was very good at suppressing my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
When I got angry, I was very good at not showing it. When I was happy, I was also very good at not showing it. Because as part of the mysterious cool persona, the cool person isn't excited about things.
Sure.
The cool person doesn't allow themselves to get roped into the eagerness of, you know, getting hyped about a certain game or a certain song. The mysterious person is detached and aloof.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just came from a place of wishing that I could control my emotions entirely, wishing that I could have mastery over them. Because if I had mastery over my emotions, I wouldn't be judged for certain emotions that I used to do automatically. If I got excited about something in class and everybody else is like, why are you excited about this? Like, we're just here to, play on our laptops and then get out after 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're actually excited about what we're learning? Like, that's not cool, man. So I got the sense very quickly in middle school and high school that it's not like, in order to be cool, in order to be accepted for who I was, I could not get excited about certain things, nor could I be angry about certain things.
I think that's funny how...
Of course, all the other emotions, yeah.
I think it's funny how, like, negative things usually take hold in situations like that. Like, not to be... like, not showing that you're excited, that's a negative thing. And that usually is what people conform to instead of the positive side of it, which I just think is kind of funny, because it shows you how strong a negative emotion is versus a positive one, because you will do almost anything to avoid a negative emotion. Well, a positive one is almost like it's a bonus, it's not something that you like really run after.
I think that's a great observation. I was watching a video about procrastination, and the entire psychology behind procrastination is that you're motivated by negative emotions more than positive ones.
Mm-hmm.
So the relief that you get when you finish homework is not strong enough.
Yeah.
But the fear of turning in a blank paper, that motivates you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And that just shows you how much stronger negative emotions are than positive emotions when it comes to motivation. I thought that was a great example of it.
Also, I recently started this thing where I'm like tracking down my days almost. So what I do is that there's this app, not a sponsor, unfortunately. It's called Bearable, and it's basically just like
Bearable. Oh,
yeah.
Wait. Oh no, I don't know.
Okay.
I thought I heard of I was thinking of the note-taking app Bear.
I don't know what that is.
Which is completely different. I don't know why I thought of that.
Okay. Anyways, it's like almost like a survey kind of thing. You can do like every day. You basically write down your overall mood, things you did that day, emotions you're feeling, maybe if you feel sick this day or you feel anxious, or you can write down your gratitudes, who you hung out with, if you stayed inside, or if you did a lot of work, or if it was like a chill day. And basically over time it'll correlate how you feel, your overall emotion, to certain things. So you can actually see that, me chilling at home actually makes me feel better than me going out and hanging out with friends or something. Like it'll actually show you that effect on your happiness and your emotions, I guess. And I'm also doing this other thing with Snapchat, and I basically just take a picture of myself every day and I write down this short, maybe, I don't know, 5 to 6 sentences of just a summary of the day. So eventually I'll have like this big catalog of days almost that I can go back and click into and see what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think
journaling.
It's exactly like that. It's journaling with a picture. Yeah. I think that's very helpful, actually. It's been interesting so far. Well, I think it's especially good for people like me and you that don't talk as much, because we can almost talk to ourselves. Yeah. Like you can write it down, and that's a form of relief, I guess, of your like emotions and stuff. So yeah, that's definitely helped, because I can let out the bad stuff and keep moving on with my days, I guess.
And you mentioned that the first app, the Bearable one with the survey, it shows you correlations between moods and activities. Yeah.
And anything really that you put in. I haven't been using it for long enough to see any correlations. So I've been using it for like a week or so. But I plan to make it a daily thing that I do.
Yeah, I would like to hear if the app gives you any insights that you weren't able to make on your own.
Yeah. And what you can do is actually, you can put in people's names. So you can say, I hung out with Derek today or something. And over time, you'll get correlation to how good you feel when you hang out with Derek, you know. So
Derek.
maybe you don't really like Derek that much. You know, maybe Derek makes you feel bad, and then you'll see that over time.
Yeah, I could see how that would be useful for people who have normalized abuse.
Yeah.
Or have normalized some sort of emotional trauma with certain people. Like the app will tell you, hey, this person actually is having a negative effect on you, even though you think this is normal. Like, notice the correlation here.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, or maybe not, I don't actually know that much, but I think that people like that, sometimes it'll just kind of slip by them. Like they'll think it's normal, like what you're saying. And someone needs to actually like point it out to them or show them that it's, you know, it's actually affecting them. It's not normal. And then I think it kind of clicks, even though from the outside, it's very obvious. From the inside, it's harder to tell.
Yeah, that's fascinating. How, I mean, the future of this is just AI and massive data collection from people's lives. And then you have an AI in the future that says, this person is probably causing you trauma because you have this trigger whenever you're with them that you're not aware of, but here it is after like 1,000, data points, history, stuff like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you think there's a line to be crossed there with AI?
Oh yes, we're going into interesting territory.
Yeah.
Is there a line to be crossed with AI data collection, you mean?
Yeah, like, do you think that if a robot's collecting your every, emotions and your actions about, people you hang out with, and then like giving you feedback on that, do you think that's crossing a line?
Is it the line in terms of selling information to companies, or simply the idea of it?
Well, I think selling the information is definitely crossing a line. So let's say that they don't sell information. They're simply collecting it to give you insights on your life.
A robot suggestions, no problem with it. You can collect all the information you want about me because they're suggestions. The moment that you take actions that I cannot map out in my head, all of the possible actions that you could take that affect my life, as soon as that becomes an unknown amount of actions that I don't know about, then I think that's the line.
Okay, what if sorry, I was just gonna say, what if this AI has a bunch of data points on you, and now that you're hanging out with let's say someone called Alice, okay? Let's say Alice. Let's say you're hanging out with this girl named Alice, and it predicts that you have a 75% chance of like not liking this person, or eventually devolving into a bad relationship with this person, just like, as friends or whatever. Like you end up not liking this person. So it'll tell you that, and then you might shut off that or stop pursuing that because it's guessing that, most likely you will not be friends with this person in the future. Where in reality, that 25%, that could be, your wife or something, Like, do you think that's crossing a line? Do you think that's okay?
This is a problem not with the robot, but with you. So the question of, do you follow this percentage? To what extent do you follow this percentage? Ultimately, the AI is a tool. Just like astrology is a tool. If you consider astrology your authority figure in your life, this is a problem with you, not the astrology. If you follow the astrology that says you're not compatible with this person because they have a different sign, because the stars have aligned in a certain way, and you follow the astrology and you think that benefits your life, this is your decision. But I think the same is true with an AI. The 75%, it's all data, right? It's all a tool. It's a guidance system. And the person who decides to have that tool in their life, I think the healthy thing to do is consider it and make your decision based not only on the tool but your own experience, and your experience should always be the number one trusted source. But certainly I think the tool would have its uses. It's just important to remember that it's not your authority, right?
Yeah, I think that's very well put. It's not the tool's fault if you do something. It's your fault, you know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people will fall into, or would fall into that, like, oh, you know, the robot says 75%. Like, that's, come on, I'm not going to do it now, you know. And just like with astrology too, like some people will think that that's the end all be all, you know, like, oh, our signs don't match, sorry bud, you know.
Yeah, exactly, right. And
it's probably not even match, or however it works. Sorry if I offended someone just now.
I don't know. I'm not an authority on astrology.
Yeah, I don't know jack shit.
Yeah, but I like how you pointed out how a lot of people will probably fall into that, because look how many people already fall into the traps of our technology, of a tool becoming the authority, right? You have the tool of the computer or the the phone that manages your life, manages your budget, manages your schedule, your notes, your access to the internet, what you do based on the weather, right? The weather's not always right. Sometimes it says it'll rain and it's sunny outside and you're like, what happened? I thought the weather was always right. We have to remember that these are just tools that are imperfect authorities. They're suggestions, right? Based on very intelligent systems that have been designed by intelligent people who are not always right. And I think that's why disconnecting is important every once in a while from screens. If at least to remind ourselves that we are the ultimate authority of our own lives, right? Yeah.
I think that a lot of people, when you say like, oh, you need to get off your phone, they instantly just stop listening, you know? Because they don't even, because as soon as you say that, then you're denying something, or denying them something, I guess, and they're just like, no, why would I take part in that? When really they're, I think, denying themselves from something, you know, like they're denying themselves from experiencing some other part of life that you are maybe just trying to show them, but they, you know, they're stuck in their own world and they don't want to step out of their comfort zone, which, I mean, it makes sense. It's uncomfortable to step out of your comfort zone, but I think that's how people grow, is, you know, stepping out of their comfort zones. So,
and I like how you talked about that, because definitely the phone is giving them something that they don't want to give up. And now you're a threat. You're a perceived threat if you're trying to take away this thing. And this is actually, I've learned a lot about addictions. Phone addictions, of course, being one of them. Same with video games and other screen, like watching TV shows. A lot of screen addictions nowadays, porn. And the important thing that I learned is that the addiction serves a purpose in a person's life. If someone's addicted to the phone, that phone is giving them something that they are otherwise unable to get. It's meeting a certain need of theirs. And this is why screens are so powerful as tools. They can quickly become the authority over somebody's life, because it's giving them a lot of needs that they otherwise have unmet, you know. And it doesn't fill them perfectly, it doesn't fill them authentically, but it fills them to a certain extent that they can't get otherwise. It's important to remember that.
I think what's like really evil almost actually is that companies know this and then they use it to
play off it,
they use it to gain, you know, money and stuff for themselves. Like, I'm sure Facebook, Instagram, I guess they're owned by Facebook now.
No, wait, they are?
Yeah, Instagram's owned by Facebook.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I mean, everything's kind of the metaverse,
consolidating,
and the meta.
Oh yeah.
And Facebook. Yeah. And so, I mean, I haven't seen that much, but I have seen there's some documentary, on Netflix or something. I don't remember what it's called, but it's about like how companies know, like, know your like usage time and know your like everything about you essentially. And they're like always listening too. I actually have a Google Home. I actually have a Google Home right next to me that could be listening right now.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen there's some videos where people will, I think someone like they just talked about wanting to get like a bike or something, and they just really talked about bikes for like 30 minutes,
and then it shows up on,
and then and they go on Google, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of ads about getting a bike. You know, like some stuff like that. Now, that could be coincidence, but also it's a little fishy, and I don't think that's ethical, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it is, because I don't know. I guess they get a profit and you get, you get ads directed towards what you want, but also it's like you're listening in on conversations. I guess it's just how they use the data that is really determines whether it's ethical or not. Because I think marketing towards or changing ads towards what you prefer in theory is a good thing, but if they're using, I don't know, it feels kind of creepy if they're listening in to your every word, you know. Yeah.
Have you watched any Edward Snowden?
No, I have not. Don't know who that is.
Yeah, okay, so he's a whistleblower for the I don't know if it's CIA or FBI or another American intelligence agency. I was just curious if you heard of him. It's been a while since I watched him, but he talks a lot about this stuff. And I think, like you said, in concept, personalizing what you get recommended is a good thing. The problem, I think, is that people feel deceived because none of this is explicitly said.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think companies really. Sorry. I don't think companies really. They don't tell you much.
It's not explicitly said. Yeah, they don't really advertise it, right?
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah, they don't tell you much. I mean, they might say we do personalize some things, but you never know the full extent, right? And you never know the extent of to what extent governments have control over your information, for example.
See, I know.
And to what extent can they weaponize that information if they want to, stuff like that.
Sorry, I know that. I feel like companies can almost do worse with that compared to governments. Like, I feel like governments, at the end of the day, they're there to, govern and make sure that your life, well, I don't know if that's true to all governments, but make sure that the people's lives are good, or the best that they can be, I guess. So for me, like, governments having or knowing what I talk about, maybe not what I talk about, but knowing stuff about me, I think that's okay. Like, I don't think it's that bad, but companies using the information to profit off of me unethically, I think that's worse. Because the government might, because like let's play out the government side. Like, if there's a serial killer on the loose and Google Home has been listening to the serial killer talk about killing people or whatever, then all of a sudden you've caught the serial killer because Google Home has been listening to him or something, like that. I feel like there's good there, like good things that can happen with that, but also it shouldn't be used unethically, and that's where it's very hard to draw a line. How do you control that? Because it's, end of the day, it's all people making these decisions behind the surface, or under the surface. Yeah. Actually, that could tie back into the AI thing. If you designed an AI to control, I guess, who gets the permissions of this data, then I suppose that would solve it. But then again, then you hand society to an AI, which could be a very, very good thing, but I don't know. It could also be a bad thing. What do you think? Would you think that would be a good idea or a bad idea?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I mean, the AI is an expression of human beings. So as a collective, if we decided this was the only way for us to survive, let's say, this has to happen, then I think as a human species, we would have to really think hard and decide the people that we want this AI to be an expression of. Because the society under the AI is an expression of the AI, and the AI is an expression of the human beings who write it. We would really need to consider deeply which human beings will write that AI. Mm-hmm. Everything goes from there. I mean, you're literally putting the hands of millions of people in the hands of a program that I assume nobody has the power to override. Because if you can override it, that means that people can take control of it and all that. So you would have to design essentially a society where humans are captive. They have no choice but to be captive under the program, because if they had a choice to be captive or not captive, they could override it. And that's a danger.
Or maybe it could be like the world leaders are put on a council or something, and like they have the ability to vote on how the AI turns out or something like that. Or they have the ability
before it's written.
Yeah, or maybe I guess they would just have administrator like control,
administrator rights.
Administrator admin rights over this AI that would be set up, I guess, across the world, you know.
And well, I think it's interesting because in certain ways this is already happening. There are certain programs that control society that I think very few people have admin rights to. And a lot of that is like the news. A lot of that is marketing campaigns made by really big companies. I don't think it's just, from what I've read at least, the government, the American government, the American news media, and American corporations and banks all have connections to each other. So I think this idea of an AI controlling society actually is already happening in ways that are not explicitly a program, but are certain messages that are said in all different ways, like through the media, through advertisements. And a lot of it is about, as far as I can tell, well, I'm speculating a lot here, obviously, but I can imagine like a lot of news and corporations aligning to tell people that they're inadequate in certain ways. Because what's the easiest way to make money other than to tell somebody they have an inadequacy and then offer them the solution to that very inadequacy? If your hair, it produces excess oil, which is something that a lot of shampoo commercials have, for example. Your hair has excess oil. And the shampoo removes the excess oil. But it's not proven that this oil is excess in the first place. It's just something they say. And they offer you the solution in the same sentence. It's these kind of programs, I think, that actually have a very large influence on society and the people that are in it. So it's kind of like a AI that certain people have admin rights to, that can distribute this program across millions of people.
I mean, I agree with you here, but also if you like get into the mindset where you I think you should question everything, whether it's like true or false, the information that you're seeing. But also, I don't think you shouldn't like doubt everything, because if you doubt everything, then all of a sudden everyone is against you and you can't trust anyone, which I don't think is true. Like, I don't think everyone is against you. And I think that most of the time, mainstream media is telling you the truth. It's just maybe they have some fluff stuff, or maybe they put in some fluffy words or something to switch the, maybe they have like some hidden agenda or something. But I think that most of the time it's not like that. I think those are the outliers. And if you generalize everything based off the outlier, like if you can't, if let's say one person at CNN publishes some article that's wildly untrue, and all of a sudden your faith in CNN is completely gone, when really it was just this one dude at CNN or something. You know, like, I don't think, no one's perfect is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think you should let one thing or one event sway your entire thinking on like a massive platform like that.
I think you're absolutely right, actually. And when I talk about the program, a lot of this is speaking from the programs that I feel I have absorbed and then have to unlearn. So I think you're absolutely right that to distrust everything is not the answer, nor is it to trust everything is the answer. There's a certain amount of trust that you have in people and things, and yeah, that there's a certain trust that you have that is there, and it's there to support you as a safety net, and there's a certain right that's not going to benefit me. Yeah, does that address what you said, do you think?
You cut out a little bit there, so I didn't get the whole thing, but I think I understood you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, basically I agree with you that there's a balance of trust and distrust. And actually distrusting everybody was a reaction I had in high school. I think you probably remember.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can fall into that. Like I think just wanting to be right, or wanting everyone to maybe admit that they were wrong, I think that actually is probably more powerful than wanting to be right. Can sometimes, I think it can skew how you think. Like, you can almost take the opposite opinion just because you want to be right. Like, you want to be like the one that says, I told you so, maybe. Or you want to be the one that was seen as, oh, you knew it all from the beginning, or oh, you knew that this was coming, or, you know, something like that. And I think that's a rabbit hole, because once you start with one thing, it goes to another thing, and then another thing, and another thing, and all of a sudden you don't believe anything that anyone is saying, and you are essentially like a conspiracy theorist guy, you know? Like you only listen to small things that have negative impacts on the world, just because you think that you want these people to be wrong and you want yourself to be right, like, so badly that you'll take some drastic standpoint or something. And actually, because of, you know, internet and Google, you know, it's a very powerful tool, because you can look up something and you can find an answer to it right away. But because there are people on the internet and not just facts on the internet, you'll see everyone's perspective, and sometimes people will fluff their own perspective because they want to get a following, or they want to convince people, or they want to be popular because they don't have some part of their life is neglected or something, and so they turn to the internet. And all of a sudden, when you put one idea on the internet and you hear a bunch of people supporting you, it becomes almost a downhill, maybe not, okay, depends on what kind of idea it is, but I guess, but if it's a negative thought about, let's say, like mistrusting the government, and you have I don't know, a bunch of people come and read your post or whatever, and they like it, and all of a sudden you have all this attention and people following you, and then you kind of need to continue putting out stuff like that. And I think that can almost force you into a position where you're going against the grain just to go against the grain, you know, instead of looking at all the facts and looking at,
for the attention.
Yeah. And also, because of Google, you can find anything that you want. Like if you looked up what's the average, I don't know, lifespan or something, you could find it being anywhere from like 50 years old to like 80 years old. You know, there's not, if there's something out there that can be skewed, it will be skewed just because the sheer amount of numbers of people on the internet. And also the way Google actually, I think, is also a problem in this too, is that they'll feed you into stuff that you want to see. So for you,
that's right, echo chamber.
Yeah, the echo chamber, exactly. If you look up with the intention of like disproving someone, like if you say this is a stupid example, but like carrots, let's say you think a carrot is a fruit or something, and you look up, are carrots a fruit? You might get a different answer than if I looked up, are carrots a fruit, because of the previous things that we've looked up, you know. And one might be a reputable source, and other might be some dude that thinks carrots are a fruit, you know. That just has a lot of people behind him, and it looks like an official website, because
that's right.
I mean, people can do that nowadays. It's pretty simple to set up a professional looking website.
That's right. And I think this is all like digital age stuff that we're having to figure out as we go. There's nobody here to teach us this. But I think when I searched the internet, when I searched YouTube, when I searched Google, I've had to stop taking every answer as an authority figure. Like we talk about the AI, right? As a tool. Google is a tool. Other people and their information is a kind of tool. But if you're not centered in yourself, you can be very easily swayed by people sounding like they know what they're talking about, and you believe what they say, and then you share it with your friends, and they're like, wait, that's not right. And then you're like, what? But this reputable source says it. You know, a 47-year-old white man in the YouTube comments, he's a reputable source.
I think most of the time it's not, you know, okay, I know what you mean, but like it's almost in disguise a little bit, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
Like it could be this very professional looking YouTube channel or website that's like, I don't know, for example, let's say it was like Byron's News or something like that, you know? And if it has a lot of followers,
like a whole team behind you.
Yeah, you kind of
like the professional thing.
Yeah, it looks like a professionally created content, and it's, you know, it looks like it should be true, so you believe it's true, you know? And I'm not saying that you should follow just what the mainstream says or anything, you know, or just take your news from one place, because at the end of the day, if it's you just take your news from all one place, then chances are it's going to be wrong at some point, you know. I think you need to look at both sides, because I think some conspiracy theories, I bet some do have some truth to them, you know, just by the sheer volume of conspiracy theories and other people's like thoughts against maybe what is considered true. Some of them have to be right. Like some of them have to be right. Like there's just too many. And so I'm not saying that all conspiracy theories are wrong, and I'm not saying that all news media is true. I just think there's a balance in between somewhere in there. Personally, I think it's more shifted towards the mainstream news, but I think there is a balance line somewhere in there that is the actual truth. And I think people need to kind of look at both sides and find that actual truth, instead of sticking with one side and instantly believing everything they hear from the other side is false because it's from the other side, you know? Yeah.
Given how much misinformation is out there, what is your method for determining the truth?
Well, personally, just like the way I live, like I never, I kind of, whenever I look at someone, I'm trying to understand them, you know? So if I see this guy and let's say he is a nut job or something, you know? Let's say that he only talks about conspiracy theories, or in mainstream, I guess, would be considered as a conspiracy theory. And he has all these sorts of kind of wacky ideas, or considered wacky from the mainstream again, about whatever. If I see that guy, I'm trying to understand him on why he has these ideas. Whereas I think a lot of other people don't even try to understand. Like, no one's trying to understand each other. They're just trying to prove themselves, making judgments and trying to prove themselves right, or the other person that they're wrong. Instead of trying to have a meaningful conversation about what could actually be true, they just shut each other out from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I guess,
people are making conclusions about life instead of trying to experience life, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because conclusion is a safe area. And when you're constantly living in fear, you're looking for any safe area you can get to. So it's very easy to make conclusions in a certain state of mind when you're always living in fear and inadequacy. But when you are fulfilled from the inside, I think you're here not to find the truth, not to discover the truth, but just to experience the possibilities of what can be true. Because you can say that conspiracy theories and science, we're all talking about theories. Like, for example, what I mean by that is science says that gravity is true. We all take this as a truth, right? A flag of truth planted into the ground of who we are. But gravity is it's a word that we use to describe a force that we don't understand. At the end of the day, it's a theory. It's not truth with a capital T. The force happens. We can see that. That's what our senses tell us. Yes, that is true. Something happens. But the gravity, the word that we say, the law that we write in the textbooks, this is not truth with a capital T. It's our label it's our descriptor for the reality underneath. And the same with a conspiracy theory. It's just a different theory. This is not to say that conspiracy theories and our scientific theories are equally legitimate, but it is to remind, it's a reminder that we all are here to experience the possibility.
Henry, hello?
It's true, right? And the words are just a way of us trying to understand it, but ultimately, it's just happening. Like that's the most fun. It's just like being here and it like, wow, this is happening right now. Like we're on a spinning orb at 1,000, like that's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, whatever the number is. Our science can tell us that, but we're here. It's happening. Why is it happening? We have no law for that. Everything upon this is just speculation, right? Just labeling things that are happening.
I think that a big part of, like, for example, gravity could be some other big thing that maybe we haven't even discovered yet, that is just a part of that big thing, or gravity is just a part of that big thing. But we take it right now as truth and fact. I'm not saying that it is, because I have no fucking idea. I don't know jack shit. but I'm saying that it could be, And actually, a good example of this is like, I know it's kind of like hush hush nowadays, but like anti-vax, like if you're an anti-vaxxer, you're almost instantly considered like a whack job.
That's right.
And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that there probably is some merit behind anti-vax. And now people are gonna be like, oh, what's wrong with you, Baen? But like, I don't know, honestly, I don't know that much about this either. I'm just saying that right now. I don't have all the information. I don't know all the facts. This is just what I am perceiving right now. Is that what I've heard is, there aren't that many studies shown about the long-term consequences of vaccines. So maybe you're afraid that getting a vaccine or getting, let's say, a COVID vax, because maybe there aren't that many studies of COVID vaccines because they're relatively new in the long term, on how that would affect you. And so maybe you decide that you'd rather risk getting COVID than maybe, let's say, obviously, I don't know if this is true or not, but let's say there's a chance that you get cancer or something from getting a COVID vax. Let's say that. I don't know if that's true, but let's say that that's the case. And you'd rather, as a healthy, let's say 25-year-old, you'd rather get COVID in the short term than have to deal with the long-term effect of maybe getting cancer. And of course, there are also, from what I've heard, because obviously, I don't know that much information, but
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, from getting a COVID, like I know that you can get like brain fog, and that can be a long-term effect too. But I think some people will either see not all the facts from one side or see more facts from another side, and then they'll make their decision based off of that. Like, I don't think just because you don't want to get a vaccine, you should be branded as some heretic or some crazy guy that, you know, that you should just never talk to because they're instantly wrong because they don't want to get a vaccine, you know? I think at the end of the day, people will do what they think is best. And so if they think that not getting the vaccine is the healthiest option for them, well, that's what they're going to do, you know? I don't think people should hate them for that. Yeah,
everybody's just doing the best with the information they have.
Yeah.
Some people have more information than others, and other people have different information than others. And the problem is when two people with different information go head to head, then you're just arguing from different islands, right?
Yep, for sure. That's a good way to put it, actually. Arguing from different islands. Because you can't,
because you're not talking about the same thing.
There's no meeting point, and you don't have any information that you agree on or any facts that you agree on, because you don't believe in the same news sources or anything, and then you literally cannot get anywhere because you will never agree with each other on the basic facts of whatever you're arguing about. And actually, I think
just anti-vaxxers. This applies to everything, like religion, politics, everything. Yeah.
Sorry, I think that like shunning these people or shunning the maybe the minority that are anti-vaxxers only makes them double down on their ideas. Like if you call an anti-vax person stupid, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like if you get called stupid, what are you gonna think? You're not gonna be like, oh yeah, I am stupid. Yeah, I was wrong. No, you're not gonna do that. Why would you think or say that you're wrong just because someone else calls you stupid? No, you're gonna double down and you're gonna look for even more stuff to prove your point because you want to be right. And so I think treating people like that and calling them stupid or putting all this negative energy towards them or negative emotions on them, it's just gonna split the divide even more. You know, it's not gonna open up room for conversation and get people to understand each other.
That's right. I think one way to summarize this with what we said earlier about the AI is that, you know, if you're looking down at somebody, or rather if you're looking up at somebody as an authority and they tell you you're stupid, you might be like, well, yeah, I am stupid because this person who I look up to told me I'm stupid. And then if you look at somebody who is just a random person who says you're stupid, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what gives you the right to say that? You're looking down at that person. And what we need to do, how any conversation can be resolved, I think, is if you just look at a person eye to eye for who they are, right? Because everybody comes from different experiences. They have different information, like we talked about. If you see them eye to eye, you understand exactly where they're coming from. You understand that this island means that they will argue this certain way. And you can make peace with that. You don't have to agree with them, but you can add to your information pool, right, to make better decisions, because now you know more about the terrain. I completely agree with you. I think, just to summarize this episode, I guess, if you just, like you were saying, if you just look at a person and when you're talking to them and try to understand them as a person, then I think everything would go so much smoother. If you just,
instead of looking at them as your enemy or something. Just understanding that they are like you, also a human that can make mistakes and can make errors in their life and make misjudgments and stuff like that, just like you can as well. Then I think people will understand each other more and, you know, resolve issues that maybe they didn't even think were possible to get resolved before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. I think if I were to phrase that, I would say don't look upward at anybody and don't look down at anybody, but just look at somebody for who they are.
Look at somebody.
Look at somebody.
That's right. And look right at them.
Just stare them in the eyes until they concede the argument.
Yeah.
This actually connects to our the question, which is, what do people misunderstand about you the most?
Yeah. And
the only reason misunderstanding happens is because you're not seeing a person for who they really are.
You're not listening to them.
You're seeing them from a distance, and you see the outer layer, and you make a judgment, right? It's useful to you. That's not a bad thing. But when you really see a person for who they are, what you're looking at is yourself, and you understand that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And you can have a lot of compassion for anybody that you meet, I think, with that mentality.
Yep. Okay. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll see you guys next time.